Hello and welcome back to the Kayla King Show. Let's see what comes through in this episode. I do have the intention of sharing with you, I don't know, how I casually moved from Perth to the Gold Coast in like 5 weeks and what I actually had to move through to become the embodiment of that manifestation becoming a reality, like wildfire speed. Remember in the last episode how I was sharing about time is an illusion and it's all about the frequency, so the frequency that you hold. If you're a frequency match for the manifestation that you desire to create in your external reality, this is literally the story of that. When I was with my ex-husband, we'd always spoken, our entire relationship was, we could move to Queensland. He's from New Zealand. So we had always, we'd always spoken about him living, his family being in New Zealand and obviously my family being in Perth. And so we'd always spoken about maybe we should move to Queensland because that's in the middle. And even when we separated, there was like a light joke about, fuck it, let's just pack up and move to Queensland. And I was like, is this real life? Like, yes, can we go? But I did. I felt really guilty. I felt guilty because my soul wanted to be in Queensland, but I felt guilty that I was being selfish for saying yes for us to move to Queensland when I also know the reality that he loves that safety. He loves the safety of his job. He loves that it's predictable. He loves that it's certain. That is what helps him feel safe. And so the idea of divorce and separation, navigating separation and co-parenting, and also learning this new way of being in this co-parenting relationship with him is already going to feel uncertain and scary, right? Because there's a huge amount of change. And so I felt guilty for even magically playing with the idea that, we could move to Queensland as a co-parenting relationship. And so I felt guilty because it was like what I wanted, but was it actually true for him? And I'm getting, it's an absolute yes, it's coming through. Like, yes, it is divine for him to move to the Gold Coast. So I'm holding that potential in the future. But what that meant is the seeds of this manifestation were already happening over the last, maybe 8 years. Actually, before that, because we even thought about moving over to Queensland before Mum got sick, and also New Zealand. But because Mum got sick, there was absolutely no way that I was leaving her. And so, yeah, that never became a reality. And it's just wild that when everything aligned, when my frequency aligned, when I let go of the control and needing to know the answers and needing to work out in a certain way, it happened at wildfire speed. And obviously we never moved to Queensland when we separated. And then I've obviously held that intention, like that desire has always been embedded in my soul because it's truth for me. And so I couldn't ignore it. The desire was always there, but my mind would be like, it's not possible. There's no way that my ex would move to Gold Coast, or there's no way that he would move to Queensland. That was the reality that I had created because that's all that my mind could comprehend. It was just, the truth is that there's no way that he would move to Queensland. Not now, not ever. That was my reality. And because that was the thought that I was holding, the reality that I was creating, the beliefs that I held, I then attached the feelings of like hopelessness, of like depression is the word that's coming through. It was like this level of like I won't ever get to experience that because the idea of moving over to Queensland without him or the boys was not possible. And I couldn't see how that was possible for me. Equally so, I couldn't see how I just couldn't take the boys away from him either because that's not of my highest frequencies or values. It's not. I fought so hard for him to be a very present, beautiful dad that is, always there for the boys. And so there's no way that I could ever take that away from him. Like there's no way that I could be the rupture of that relationship with the boys. No way. And so that was also a non-negotiable. So I've got this reality of like, he's never moving to the Gold Coast and I'm never taking the boys away from him. But in the same breath, I had this desire that there is nowhere else in the world that I want to be than the Gold Coast. And so that created this inner conflict of like what I desired, what I hadn't manifested, what was not in my reality. And so therefore I became the embodiment of the thing that I actually did. Like I was repelling the thing that I actually desired the most, because I was telling myself all the stories of how it wasn't possible. I was embodying all the feelings of it not being possible, which came with like this level of like hopelessness and depression of like, I'm stuck here. I'm not going to be able to move for the next 18 years. Like all of the stories that kept, it was so isolating. It was like I was in the box and I was never getting out of the box. And I'm not somebody who loves being in a box. I am the absolute opposite. You put me in a box and I will fight against the box. I cannot be put in a box. It's like, it's just not, it does not work well for me. I can't stand it and I will fight against the box until I experience the freedom. And so I'm then repelling the thing that I desire because my logical mind can't even comprehend that that is possible. There's no way that it's possible because I could only see two realities. And then my fear would come up because it was like, well, there's no way that I could move to the other side of the country. Like the other reality was that I move and my boys are still in Perth. And then I was like, well, there's no way that I could do that because the fear of what would people think. Am I a bad mum? The judgment that, oh my gosh, I can't believe that Kayla just moved to the other side of the country, of what other mums would think, because it's just not like, there's no way they could do it. And it's like that, it was hard for me. Like there's no way that I could do it. So I was judging that part of me. I was exiling that part of me. I was like, what mum moves to the other side of the country when their kids are not with her full time? Because the narrative has always been that in separation, the kids always stay with the mum. Like the kids are always with the mum, right? Because that's how it's been done. That's the societal norm. That is the box that we're put in, the should do's, the who we should be, how we should act, all of those outlines and expectations that society puts on us. But because I don't like being in the box, and because I can channel the magic, and because I like to shift my reality like that, and because I love quantum leaping into the unknown, I like to expand my consciousness and I like to tune into other different potential realities that maybe I'm not seeing yet. And so I started to ask, I started to get curious and be like, okay, well, cool. So if this is meant to happen, and I know that it is happening, then how can it happen where I'm not making a sacrifice? How can this reality become a reality where my boys, I'm not sacrificing my relationship with them, I'm not sacrificing their relationship with their dad, I'm holding this beautiful co-parenting relationship? How can we navigate this where everybody wins, where there's no sacrifice? Because remember, the old stories of the societal norms is that you can't have everything, and success comes with sacrifice. Like you can't have everything. It's all good to be, too good to be true. I don't even resonate with that. So instead of resonating with that lower frequency and those thoughts, allowing those thoughts to become my reality and to perpetuate that reality on a loop, I decided to expand my mind and to expand my consciousness and to tune into what are the other realities? What are the other potentials? What are the ways that we could make this work? The reality is that maybe Kurt isn't going to move to the Gold Coast, but the reality is that I want to move to the Gold Coast. I know that there is amazing potential for the boys in the Gold Coast. Like I just know that they're going to be here. I can literally see visions of them here, and I can see, like, I see it all. I can feel it, and it's true. And so knowing that feeling was wild, because it was like, I can feel it and I can see it and I'm experiencing it, and I know in my soul that this is true, and I know this is for the highest good for all, but I'm also not willing to, affect their relationship with their dad, and I'm not willing to sacrifice my relationship with them either. And so I was like, well, how can this work? Like, show me, universe, like divine creator, show me how this can work. Show me what the potential is, and I'm going to have to trust. Like, I'm just going to have to let go of the control of how it should be and let go of the outcome. And I'm going to have to leap into the unknown, into the void, into the uncertainty, just trusting that it's all going to work out for the highest good of all, because it's the only way that it will work out. It wouldn't work out otherwise. And so I held an event in the Gold Coast, and it was like, a little bit of like shits and giggles, because I was like, universe, like, let's play a game. If I'm meant to be in the Gold Coast, if this is for the highest good for all, then I'm going to hold an event in the Gold Coast, and just for shits and gigs, I want you to sell out that event. I want you to show me that my community in the Gold Coast are so welcoming of me that this is, of course, where I'm meant to be. Like, this is, of course. And so it was like a little game. I started to play a little game with the universe. I was like, divine creator, show me the magic. And so I did. I launched an event. Within 2 weeks, it sold out. I literally was in the Gold Coast for a week holding our breathwork event. Like, wild. Absolutely wild, and so incredible, because it showed me what was available, and it also showed me what was alignment. And so then, because I could anchor into my truth and my absolute certainty, I was able to feel into, well, those fears that were coming up, are they actually true? Or is that my mind trying to keep me safe? Have I been abandoning and rejecting parts of my desires because the fear of being judged or rejected of the type of mum that I am was far more scarier than leaping into the unknown? And I had to sit with that. I had to sit with, oh my gosh, I grieved flying to the Gold Coast before I even knew that I was flying to the Gold Coast. The grief that was coming up for me, the tears that I was shedding, the heart that was like literally being broken open was so painful, because it was like my body and my soul knew that there were going to be moments where I'm flying to the Gold Coast and my boys are staying in Perth with their dad. And yet it made all of the sense, but it made no logical sense. Like, it made sense to my body and my heart, but my mind couldn't comprehend it. But I had this like knowing, like this level of certainty and excitement and absolute trust that if it was meant to be and it was for the highest good of all, that it will be, and it will all flow perfectly. There'll be no force, no pressure, no control, absolute surrender. So instead of sitting with the emotions of like fear, of judgment, of rejection, of abandonment, of guilt was huge, because I've done the absolute opposite of what society deems as a good mum. And I had to sit with that. Like, I had to sit with that pain. That was so painful, because it made me feel like I was selfish. It made me feel like I was not good enough. And I was like, what mum flies to the other side of the world? It felt like the world. Okay, exaggeration. Country. And what mum leaves their kiddies behind. That's what it felt like. And so because of that fear of what other people would think, because I had rejected those parts of me and I had a deep wound that I didn't believe that I was a good mum. So under all of that, I had to heal the parts of me that didn't believe that I was a good mum before all of this happened. Like, that was already a thread, a fear, a shame, and a guilt that I carried for their whole life. And so this move forced me to be with that fear and to heal that wound. And that was huge. Like, huge. Like, the feeling that people outside of me could potentially project or say, or, yeah, like, that I wasn't, like, the judgment that I wasn't a good enough mum, or that, like, I'm not a good mum. The idea of them saying that, the fear that they could say that on top of how I actually felt, which was that I felt that I wasn't a good enough mum, that was like catastrophic for my nervous system. That was huge. Like, that was triggering. That was scary. That was happening at the exact time that I'd been accepted for my apartment. And I was like, well, what do I do now? Like, I'm petrified. I'm in complete terror that I've made the biggest mistake of my life, that I've completely ruined my kids' lives, that I thought that for a moment, I thought that I was having like an actual breakdown, and that this was just like a massive mistake and it was going to be a massive lesson. And that I was going to look back on this moment and have huge regrets and be like, why did I do that? That was what was running through my mind. That was very real in my reality. But it wasn't the frequency of truth. It wasn't the frequency of love. It wasn't the frequency of magic and miracles. It was the frequency of survival, of fear, of doubt, of my shadows. Because what would people think of me when they find out that I've moved to the other side of the country and my boys are still in Perth with their dad? So I had to consciously choose. I had to really tune into my truth. I had to tune into my absolute truth. Like, was that true for me, or was that programming? Was that fear? Was that doubt? Was that shadow? And then I had to consciously choose to tune into my truth and into my channel. And I kept asking for signs and for guidance that I was doing the right thing. Like, my heart needed that more than anything in the world, because I nearly didn't make it to the Gold Coast because there was just no way that I could leave my babies. And I actually remember like literally praying and being like, you need to bring them to me because I can't leave them. There's no way that I can leave them. And I remember crying and crying and crying, like the grief of crying, because it was like up until that moment, they'd been with me pretty much like I was their primary caregiver. And it was like, it was like, not only am I moving to the other side of the country, which is fucking scary for anyone, leaving their family behind, but it was like, it felt like I was leaving my whole heart behind. It was like my babies. And so it was wild. It was like I was holding the polarity of absolute heartbreak and then in the same breath, absolute excitement, because I just knew, like, I can't even explain it. If there was anything that I knew more than anything else, was that this is exactly where I was meant to be. It's like, I was asking, praying for signs and for guidance that I was doing the right thing, because if I ever risked ruining their life experience, it was like a hard no. Like, of course I would sacrifice my own desires for my babies. And so I had to literally trust and trust and trust and trust and trust. And it was like so fucking hard to hold that trust when the fear was so great. And the reality is that at that moment in time, me and my ex were going through like the worst moments in time. It was like an absolute battle. And so I'm fucking having to hold this level of trust that the universe would not have, that I wouldn't have been approved for this exact apartment if it wasn't meant to be. And although I don't know when the boys are going to be moving here, like permanently, I know that I have to hold trust and faith that they will. Because I know that they will. I see them here. And even though externally the reflection back to me was that I was having this tumultuous relationship with my ex, the boy's dad, and I was like, there's no way. Like, I had this vision that we were going to have this beautiful co-parenting relationship, and I had this vision that like these beautiful blended families, because I trust that like everything is working out for the highest good of all, and I trust that, you know, whoever he meets, it's going to be this beautiful experience, and she's going to bring a light to the boy's world. Whoever I meet, it's going to be this beautiful experience, and he's going to bring a beautiful light to my boy's world. And it's just like this magic, right? That's the vision, and I know it's true, and I hold that. But then, even though I'm holding that, my external reality is not reflecting that back to me. And so I had to still hold and trust and anchor into my power, even though my external reality was showing me something different. Do you know the level of power that you have to hold to not lose yourself in those moments, to not become wobbly in those moments, to not allow yourself to be pulled out of alignment, to not allow yourself to drop in your frequency? That is so fucking hard when your body is petrified. And when your body is petrified that you're the worst mum in the world, and then you've got an ex-partner reflecting that back to you, imagine the courage, the trust, and the power that is needed for me to stand in my truth. Imagine the trust that is needed in the Creator, in the universe, in the divine aligned plan of truth that is needed the faith that is needed in every single moment that my external reality was not reflecting what I desired back to me. And so, thank fuck. Like, thank fuck. Oh my gosh. Like, thank fuck it all worked out. Because there were so many moments where I didn't believe it was all going to work out. And I still had to hold that trust and that faith, and still had to rise in my frequency and maintain the frequency of trust, faith, love, miracles. And like magic, it all unfolded in divine timing. And like magic, instead of exiling and rejecting and abandoning all of the parts of me that didn't think that I was worthy or good enough as a mum, who had to release all of the programming that, you know, a good mum sacrifices everything. Oh my God, the things that I've had to move through, the parts of me that I've had to call back, the power that I've had to call back, the fragments of me across all lifetimes and timelines, across all dimensions that I've had to call back, the power that I'd given away, I had to call all of it back, and I had to hold that, and I had to sit with that, and I had to bring love to it. So that way, when the external reality was reflecting back to me the parts of me that I once exiled or abandoned or rejected or judged, the shame or the guilt or the doubts or the fears that I once upon a time held, no matter what my external reality was reflecting back to me, I was good. I was solid. I am an incredible, extraordinary mum. I literally am one of the greatest gifts for my boys. My healing, my energy, my frequency, my unconditional love, the healing that I've done on my own self ripples into their life, their children's lives, and beyond. They chose me. Oh, this one's a big one. When I finally anchored into the truth that my boys chose me for me, it gave me everything that I needed within me to absolutely know that I was doing the exact right thing for the highest good of all. Because I was leading not from ego, not from my mind, not from logical results, not from logical expectations, not from the matrix, not from the programming, not from the fears. I was leading from my intuition, from my channel, from my truth, and from my desires. And my boys chose me. They chose me because I am me. And so for them to get their fullest experience in their life, I need to be the fullest expression of my desires and truth. Why? Because that's what I want for them. I want them to follow their hearts and follow what's true for them. I don't want them to play into the stories of who they should be and what they should be. I'm sure as fuck not going to give them a box and put them in it. I'm going to love all parts of, I do. I love all parts of them. All of them. Because all of them is worthy and all of them is loved and all of them is lovable. And so how could I love them unconditionally if I only love them when they're doing what I want them to do and they're being who I want them to be? And so if I want to be the embodiment of that love for them, then I need to become that embodiment of that love for me. I need to follow my dreams and desires. I need to follow my truth and my heart. I need to expand into who I am here to be. So that way I can show them what's possible. That way I can show them that they have the freedom to be all of them. They get to express unapologetically. They get to become unfuckwithable and unshakable. They get to stand in their truth and express their truth. They get to be them. And that is the greatest gift that I give them. And so I have to do that. I have to be the embodiment of that. I have to become who I'm here to become. Otherwise, they don't get to become who they are here to become. Because the way that I lead myself is the way that I'm showing them what is possible. And can you imagine how expanded their world is? I could sit in the fear and the doubt and the shadow and the grief and the judgment. Don't do it anymore. But I could have sat there and I could have moved to the Gold Coast and been like, oh, I'm so happy over here, but there's also this huge chunk of shadow over here. Fuck that. Fuck that. I decided to alchemize all of that. I decided to sit with what needed to be loved, the wounds that needed to be healed. And I decided to alchemize it into love, into a higher frequency. I decided to rise like a phoenix. I decided to anchor my highest timeline and my highest version of self. I decided, it was my conscious decision to shift my reality. And when I tune into my boys and how this ripples out to their life, I can see the impact this is even having in my co-parenting relationship with my ex-husband. It's wild. Like the manifestation that I have for us having this beautiful co-parenting relationship where we're honoring each other's relationship with our boys, where we're supporting and nourishing the depth of that connection, where we are welcoming in this beautiful blended family where, you know, like this deep level of love and respect for what we shared and for the value that he brings as a father to our boys, for the value that I bring as a mother to our boys, for the value that both of our boys bring to each of us, for how this dynamic is miraculously happening. Like, I have so much honor and so much love and gratitude because when I think about what he had to move through when I moved to the Gold Coast, like that would have been terrifying. Like that would have been terrifying for him. His whole life just completely got uprooted and completely shifted. Like he's had to step up as a dad and he's done a fucking remarkable job stepping up as a dad. Like even more so than what he was doing before. And through that, the relationship that he has with the boys is even deeper. He's there. He's present. He's reliable. He's safe. He's their safety. He's their anchor. Like, is that not an extraordinary gift? That's an extraordinary gift. And there would have been healing in it for him because it would have triggered his childhood wounds. Because it was like history repeated itself with his mum. And like, is that not a gift? Is that not a gift? We went through a roller coaster of emotions. We went through hell and turbulence. And then on the other side of it, we've come out stronger as co-parents. Like actual, genuine relationship, respect and value for the value that each of us bring. And I am so grateful because imagine if I couldn't trust him with the boys. Imagine if I couldn't trust in who he is as a father. And it feels so good for me that I can trust that he is going to have my boys back no matter what when I'm not there. Just like he can trust that I've got the boys back no matter what when he's not there. Just like I can trust that he wouldn't let anyone into the boys' world who is not of the highest light, of a beautiful frequency, of love, just like I wouldn't. It's like everything holds a gift. Every experience holds wisdom and a lesson. And through all of that, you can transmute that pain into power, in shadow into light. When you find the gift, you find the lesson, you find the wisdom. And now, what's wild is remember how at the beginning of this story, I never thought it was even possible for me to move to the Gold Coast because the idea of it's either I moved to the Gold Coast without the boys or I moved to the Gold Coast with the boys. And either way was a sacrifice. I created a reality where it's possible. And I still have the boys 50% of the year. And the boys get to experience a reality. They have a home. Imagine how expanded their world is when they spend 30% of the year in Gold Coast, 70% they have 2 homes. One in Perth and one in Gold Coast. That's their reality. Their reality is more expanded than mine is at 36. Can you imagine how this ripples out into their life? Like, that's their baseline. That's the most insane programming of what's possible from the most informative years, where they're literally creating they're creating their internal belief systems from 0 to 7, and that's been their reality from before then. Can you see how much of a gift that is? How much light that carries? How much potential that activates? How much that expands their consciousness of what's available for them and what's possible for them? Wild. Like, absolutely wild. This is how I knew that I would, like, this was all working out for the highest good of all, because I literally got shown the potential of this happening and then how this ripples out. This is how I work with my clients, right? So I can see a potential, and then I can see how that potential, what comes from that potential. I see the ripples of that potential. And that's how we choose the highest timeline. That's how we choose the highest potential. And so I've always been able to do that. That's like literally how I've lived my life. Didn't realize it was a thing, and now it is a thing. So with the boys, I could see this potential of me staying in Perth, for example, and it was like, and then I could, it even feels, it's not about staying in Perth. It's about what that means for me staying in Perth. That means that I'm not living my fullest potential. I'm not living my fullest, highest version of me. Not because of anything wrong with Perth, not because of anything at all with Perth. It's because it wasn't true for me. And so imagine what shifts when I'm tuning into the potential of moving to the Gold Coast and I'm living the embodiment of my highest potential. And then I start to see the ripples of all of it for my boys. It gets even better. I once never thought that that was a potential. Like, I didn't understand that that was even a possible reality. And then it became a reality. And now, because everything shifted in the dynamic with my ex-husband, there's another reality that's opened up. Another potential. Like, what if he was to move to the Gold Coast? What if our desires of moving to Queensland was always meant to be? And what if me being the initiator of that movement to the Gold Coast, the boys moving over to the Gold Coast, and then him missing the boys so fucking much becomes the reason why he moves to the Gold Coast? I've got, like, my whole body is full body shivers. What if the desire that we always had of moving to Queensland or the Gold Coast was always meant to be? And then what if I never took that action? What if I never followed through? What if, could you see how much of a different my life would be? It's worlds apart. It's a different timeline. Because time is an illusion. I've just quantum leaped to my highest timeline. And I'm consciously choosing to embody the highest version of me. Can you see the impact that that has, not just in my world, my children's world, their dad's world, and how that ripples out beyond? I had to move through the most extraordinary levels of fear and doubt and insecurity. I had to alchemize all of that pain into power and take the leap into the unknown, into the void, into the uncertainty, even with the fear. I had to literally trust in the unknown more than I trusted in the fear. That is so hard to do. That is the illogical. That's the extraordinary. And now there's a reality that the boys will move over here and their dad will move over here. Their dad is from New Zealand. It's like $180 to fly to New Zealand. It's like a 4-hour flight, if that, maybe 3 hours. So I've just opened up a potential, a higher potential for him in his lifetime. Can you see how when you follow your dreams, when you follow your desires, when you anchor into your truth, when you anchor into your heart, and you're leading from a higher frequency, the highest good for all, and when you allow the creator, the universe, to lead you, and you let go of the control and you allow yourself to surrender into the highest good of all, you shift timelines, but the ripple effect goes beyond what your logical mind can even comprehend, because it's all working out for you. And even the worst thing that could ever happen is still the greatest gift in your life. Me moving to the other side of the country could have been the worst thing that could have ever happened. And it could be the greatest thing that could ever happen. It's your conscious decision. Me losing mum at the exact time that I needed her the most, in the most hardest time of my life, could have been the reason why everything fell down and nothing came to the light. That could have been the dark hole that I spent the rest of my life in. Or it could have been the greatest gift that became the catalyst for an extraordinary shift in my reality. It could have been the reason why I came more home to my truth and my soul's mission. It could have been the reason why I became more in tune with my intuition and my healing gifts and my mission. Like, why am I here? And because I desired that connection with mum so fucking much that nothing was going to get in my way, I was going to connect with her. Did I know that that would lead me to my intuition? Did I know that that would lead me to be a direct channel to God and the Creator, where I can literally hear him talking or her talking? I can feel the frequency of angels. I can hear the frequency of angels. I am so in tune with the higher realms. Did I know that losing mum would be the catalyst for that? No. But I sat with the grief. I sat with the heartbreak. I had to find the gift and the wisdom, because the only way that I could show up and be the mum that I know that I am is to heal the parts of me that were not in alignment with that. I had to shift, heal, release, and grow beyond the shadow. I had to welcome the parts of me that were once exiled. I had to love the parts of me that were abandoned and rejected. I had to become whole. I had to raise my frequency. I had to embody more love, magic, miracles, trust, so that when I quantum leap into my new reality, into my highest timeline, when I became the embodiment of my highest version of me, I was able to take the leap with absolute trust, with absolute surrender, completely letting go of the need to control. I had to trust that there was a higher plan, that I wouldn't have the desire unless there was a higher plan. And that is so hard, to trust in the unknown, to leap into the uncertainty, to sit in the void where your external reality is not reflecting your internal reality, and still hold that level of absolute trust and anchored in your power when the external reality is not showing you that yet, is so fucking hard. It is so hard to maintain that. And this is why I created Sacred Alchemy. Like, this is the work that I have been doing my whole life. Only the last 8 years of my life since losing mum has been consciously moving through the shadow, alchemizing the shadow, bringing love to all parts of me, becoming whole, creating that inner sacred union, choosing to rise above, to raise my frequency, to become the vibrational match for my dream reality that I want to manifest, to become the vibrational match for my highest timeline, for my quantum leap, for the highest version of me, to completely release, surrender, and let go of everything that is not serving me, that is not actual truth. I had to shed the layers like a fucking snake, and it's felt like all I've been doing is shedding layers for literally 8 years. Like, the things that I have gone through in the last 3 months, I don't think many people would go through in 3 years. That has taken commitment to my shadow, commitment to my light, commitment to my truth. And it's been the greatest thing, the greatest gift, to be able to tune into the wisdom and the lessons in every experience. And then to alchemize that pain into power, that fear into love, that survival into expansion. To completely shift everything that is holding you back from your dream reality, from the life that you actually want to live. That's the power that you hold. It is the power that you hold. And moving through all of those pieces inside of Sacred Alchemy will be the catalyst for your exponential expansion and a logical results. We'll be going... logical mind will not even be entering the room. It's fully embodied exponential expansion. It's a complete embodied experience, like nothing you've ever experienced before. It's like you will shift timelines, you will quantum leap over the 6 weeks that we are together. Your life before Sacred Alchemy will be unrecognizable. You will finish in this new identity, this new embodiment of who you are from a level of anchored, absolute certainty, conviction, and confidence. You'll be fully embodied through your portal of pure potential, your sacred pleasure, your sacred power, your sacred magnetism activated and ignited. Like wildfire success. And when you lead from this frequency, when you lead from the embodiment of your truth, anchored, grounded, certain, the magnetism that you hold, the safety that you hold to be fully expressed, to be fully you is unmatched, unfuckwithable, unstoppable, unwavering. Nothing and no one will pull you out of alignment because you've anchored in your highest timeline. You've anchored in your highest version of you. And that's the power that you hold. And so I would love to invite each and every one of you to join us inside of Sacred Alchemy. We begin in early October. And for each and every one of you, I'm actually doing something really, really cool. It's going to be $888. But for you, I actually want to invite you to join us for $222, which is absolutely insane. But there is something that I can feel. The power of Sacred Alchemy that is coming through the channel right now is like nothing I have ever created before. And you'll know if it's for you. You'll feel it. You will feel the resonance. You will feel the feeling in your body. It'll just be, it's just going to be a full body fuck yes. You're just going to know it. And it's going to be your invitation to lean into your quantum leap, to create a logical results beyond the logical mind can comprehend, and to fully alchemize all of your shadow, to be fully whole. Oh, this is extraordinary. I've literally got that like, extraordinary. You got me feeling in the crowd. That's I can't even sing it, but it's like that song is coming through. That's the frequency that we are tuning into inside of Sacred Alchemy. I love you. Have the most amazing day, and I will see you in the next episode. Mwah!